Welcome to Action Between Cuts, a channel where we discuss ABCs of storytelling through film analysis and breakdowns. In this video, we will be analyzing RRR is a historical fiction that intertwines the lives of two Indian revolutionaries, Komaram Bhim and Alluri Sitaramaraju, exploring the themes of friendship, sacrifice and resistance against oppression. Most of the epic films use larger-than-life characters to narrate a fictional story. Storytellers use the following two key techniques in the skeleton or grammar of their stories to make it believable. In films, suspension of disbelief refers to the audience's willingness to accept and engage with elements of a story that may not be realistic, plausible, or grounded in real life. It's a sort of mutual agreement. The filmmaker creates a world with its own rules, and the audience agrees to engage with it without demanding strict adherence to real-world physics, logic, or biology. This allows filmmakers to tell more creative and imaginative stories. In RRR, we see multiple undefined rules set within the story world which makes the story plausible and believable. The first time Ram and Bhim see each other, they communicate through gestures to save a kid from fire. We see Ram explain the plan to Bhim with just a few gestures. Similarly, in the climax, we see Ram gesture to Bhim on the plan to hit the British house and destroy the whole building. With this, it's clearly established that Ram and Bhim shared a solid bond where they could communicate without words. In a fight scene nearing climax, we see Bhim carry injured Ram and both fight back the British soldiers, eventually escaping from the prison. To make this scene convincing, we are shown multiple instances of Bhim's strength throughout the film, establishing a set piece of this magnitude could be pulled off only by Bhim. In the climax, we see Ram recovers from his injury very soon and joins Bhim to fight the British troops. But this speed of recovery is seen even in a pre-interval scene when Bhim helps Ram recover from a snake bite, and very soon Ram comes to capture Bhim. This indirectly hints that the heroes are not going to wait for their injuries to heal completely, as their duty and promise holds more weight than the pain they endure. Rule of 3 is a narrative technique that is used to create a rhythm, structure, and emotional impact. The number 3 resonates deeply with human psychology, and it helps to establish repetition and variations, creating a sense of satisfaction for the audience. A general notion is when an event occurs for the first time, it's random, the second time is coincidence, and when it repeats for the third time, it's a pattern or a structure with a meaning. In RRR, we see two key moments built on the rule of 3 technique. Scott explains the value of each bullet is more than Indians before a sergeant smashes Malli's mother with a log, and the same monologue is seen in the past where he explained the value of each bullet before punishing a village head for treason. The third time we see this explanation is when Ram hits back with the same monologue of the value of each bullet to Scott before killing him with the same bullet, giving the audience catharsis. Another use case of rule of 3 is seen with the signature tune between Ram and Bhim. First time we see them bond on this tune before the dance they perform. Next, when Ram uses it to communicate to Bhim to help him with the snake bite, and then the third time we see them communicate with this tune is when Bhim comes to rescue Ram from the prison. The Kuleshov effect, named after Soviet filmmaker Lev Kuleshov, refers to a psychological phenomenon in film editing that demonstrates how the combination of shots can create new interpretations, emotions, and meanings that would not be evident if the shots were viewed in isolation. In RRR, there is one classic moment where the love between Sita and Ram is conveyed with just editing. In just 5 shots, joining them in a right sequence, a deep fondness tenderness between Ram and Sita is conveyed using the pendant they share. In isolation, these shots that would have less impact, by joining them in a right order, gives a great moment of the film without any dialogue. RRR has many magical moments that highlight characterization or themes and to foreshadow a future consequence. Starting from the first shot of Ram and Bhim, both have been constantly linked visually to fire and water, which plays as the theme of their characterization or visual cue throughout the movie. The scene of young Ram single-handedly taking on British soldiers is epic because just a scene before, we are shown the true potential of Ram, who had shot a bull's eye from a far place. In this way, the moment when Ram's father hands the gun to him, we feel the excitement since we already know his capabilities. In an initial scene, we see Edward mocks the Nizam messenger by saying if the tribals could fight the British Empire with mere bow and arrows. And in the climax, we see Ram use bow and arrows to fight and destroy British soldiers. We are shown in the beginning the vicious nature of Catherine when she desires to see more blood of Bhim and thus gives a rope with thorns to whip Bhim. Later, Catherine sees her end bleeding to death tied with a fence wire full of thorns, giving a fitting closure to her vicious nature. This film demonstrates how to construct an epic story with deep personal stakes and balancing grand spectacle to create a compelling cinematic experience. That's it for this video. In the next video, we will be analyzing Until then, take care and keep watching movies.